Welcome back to another episode of the Girls Cafe where we create a caring atmosphere for emotions. This is a space for real conversations about resilience, growth, and most importantly, empowerment. I am Shauna, and on today's episode, it's about being talented but stuck, breaking free from procrastination. So grab your favorite drink, meal, or snack, settle in, and let's talk about what truly matters. The truth about procrastination. Let's be real. How many times have you said, I know I should be doing this, but didn't? You have talents, ideas, and passions that could change lives, but procrastination keeps you stuck. This episode isn't about calling you out because I would have to call myself out. It's about calling you forward. Do you know why we procrastinate? At least I can tell you why I procrastinate. Sometimes it's the fear of failure or not being good enough. Sometimes I'm waiting for the perfect time. A lot of the times I'm feeling overwhelmed. And then my purpose, I just put it off for later. My struggle with procrastination, we can just start with this podcast. I bought equipment back in April of 2024, and I said I was going to do a podcast. Well, guess what? The equipment just sat there. And it wasn't that I didn't want to do it, I did. But I let fear, distractions, and then the thought of not being good enough hold me back. Or just the simple fact that other people are already doing a podcast. But it's set. And while it's set, so did my purpose, so did my passion, and guess what? So did my progress. I remember asking people like, hey, I'm going to do a podcast. Do you want to be a part of it? Some people kind of, yeah, sure. Other people didn't really respond. So I think that played a part in it too of, is anybody really going to listen to it? Am I really going to have an impact on anyone? Am I really going to have something to talk about that people may be interested in, right? But in doing that, it didn't do me any justice. It didn't serve a purpose. And it sure in the heck didn't get me out there any sooner. So here it is, almost a year later. It would have been a year later before I decided that I was going to do something about this podcast. And I'm going to tell you why. Because here's my affirmation. My gift deserves to be used and not shelved. Remember that. So when passion meets a pause, losing the momentum after a major life change is what I want to talk about next. Because I have other gifts too. I'm not just a little one pony show here, okay? I love to do music. I love writing. I love singing. I love to do photography. I'm also a licensed esthetician. And I truly enjoy doing all of them. But after moving from Michigan, I found myself struggling with the motivation to keep going. I didn't feel as connected, and it wasn't that I stopped loving doing these things. I just stopped moving. And when you stop moving, your gifts start to do what? Collect dust. I told you guys this before. When you have a gift and you don't use it, you lose it. And sometimes I have those moments where I really feel like I am losing the things that I enjoyed, or I'm losing my gifts. I guess really you could say I'm really just losing the passion for it. Not that I'm necessarily losing my ability to do it. But you know, for me, you know how I like to do an affirmation, and I just came across this one. And it says, even when my motivation fades, my purpose is still waiting for me to return to it. That really resonated with me because even like the title of this podcast, The Girls Cafe, I told you guys that before, that this was something that I started a while back as a support group. And again, I was passionate about it in that moment. Notice I said in that moment, I was passionate about it. But for some apparent reason, just out the blue. I said, hey, I'm going to do a podcast. And I remember my husband asking me, like, well, what you going to talk about? What is it going to be about? And I said, I'm going to go with the title that I had of my support group, A Caring Atmosphere for Emotions, the Girls Cafe. And he's like, oh, okay. But I felt like that came back to me because that was God's way of telling me that I didn't complete the task that He had assigned to me. That maybe I needed to do it in a different way, in a different realm than I did before. And it wasn't that I did it wrong the first time. Again, I have a passion for something and I'll do it for the moment and then I just stop. If I feel like it becomes too complicated or too confusing for me, or it requires me to think too much, I lose the passion for it. But when I first started doing it, the very first event, I can't even really call it an event, but the very first thing I did was I invited a handful of people over to my house. I cooked some spaghetti, we had some wine, and we just sat and had a conversation. Because it's a cafe and I like to make a spin off of things, right? Eating and drinking and just having a conversation with one another, getting us through times, sharing our testimonies with one another, hoping that it was going to help someone else. And it was simple and it was beautiful, at least to me. Like we actually really got something out of it. And then we did a day trip to Chicago. A handful of us, we got together and just rode the train. Went to Chicago, had lunch, ran into R. Kelly. That's a story in itself. Just walking down the street randomly. Then I did photo shoots. We did a vision board party. Just little thing, anything that I can get women together to do. That's what I mostly became excited about. So let's talk about honoring the nudge when the purpose whispers for you to move. Just recently, I came across these affirmation boxes that I designed. Inside each box, there's a mirror for you to see what's right and not what's wrong. Personalized affirmation cards that I did. Then there's some blank cards in there with a crystal keychain to hold them. A pen that's shaped like a key for you to unlock your potential. And then there's a meditation oil that I have inside. In each box, matter of fact, I have the boxes here. This is the box right here. It has my logo on it. But it says self-love starts here. Be bold, be bright, but most importantly, be you. So let me show you what's inside these boxes. As I said, there's a pen, well, it's shaped like a key. It's a pen for you to unlock your potential. This was just like an instruction card that I put together on how to utilize the box. These were the blank affirmation cards with the crystal. Can't really see right now, hold on. And then this was the oil that I put in here. These are the laminated affirmation cards. Can't remember how many it is. Maybe about between 15 and 25. I'm not really for sure. I have to count it out. And then my favorite part right here is the mirror. Don't look for what's wrong. See what's right. And then there's a little mirror on the back of it. But anyway, it was on my spirit to take one of these boxes to work and gift it to a lady at work. I don't know why I woke up that day and said, I'm going to take one of those boxes and I'm going to give it to her. Just what the spirit told me to do. And I did it. I get to work. I said, hey, I got this box for you. And I give it to her. She opens it up and she's like, oh, this is so nice. Later on that day, she comes back and she says, hey, somebody wants to buy one of your boxes. And I'm like, She was like, I wasn't supposed to show it to anyone. I'm like, it's not that. I just had the box and brought it to you. But I'm like, okay. A little while later, one of the other ladies come up to me and she says, why you didn't show me the box? Like, I like that box. I want one. Like, I like to support black businesses. And so I'm like, I really couldn't say anything because I didn't have a reason. It was really literally the spirit said, grab this box, take it to work. It wasn't me playing favorites or anything like that between anyone. It was take it to work and give it to this person. So that's what I did. And so I'm like, okay, I'll bring you a box. And she said, matter of fact, I need two. I need two boxes. I'm going to give one to my mom. And I'm like, okay, I'll bring in two boxes. So I had to go home to make sure I even had two boxes to give her. I finally get the boxes. A couple of times I forgot the boxes in the car. Just not that I wasn't thinking about it, like it was kind of sitting on the floor of my car. So I would forget about it every day when I got out the car. So I finally get these boxes to her. I don't even have a price for the boxes. I'm like, I don't know. Just give me whatever you think it's worth. She's like, okay. So she cash apps me the money and then she said, you know what? I'm going to need 3 more boxes. Can you bring me 3 more boxes? I'm like, sure. I'll have them for you tomorrow. Again, I didn't even do an inventory count. I don't even know how many boxes I have remaining. But I go home, I grab these 3 boxes, and I come back to work with them the following day. I remembered the following day to bring the boxes in. I come in, I'm like, hey girl, got your boxes. She's like, okay. I walk over to where she's at, and before I know it, she's like, hey, you, y'all need to see these boxes that she has. Like, you need to buy one. Like, you need to buy one too. Like, you need to buy one, like, right now. She's telling this to 2 of the guys that work there. You need to buy one for your mom. Send it to your mom. But you need to buy one right now. So they're like, oh, okay. They send her the money so she can cash app it to me. I'm, like, literally standing there speechless. And I'm speechless because I wasn't prepared. My mind wasn't set on selling these boxes, these affirmation boxes at all. Nor was it set on other people knowing about these boxes. So now I have multiple people at work purchasing these boxes. And it reminded me that maybe this really was a good idea. Maybe this gift was worth sharing. Maybe I was sleeping on myself. So here's an affirmation. When I honor the gifts placed in me, doors begin to open. Because that's exactly what started happening. I wasn't prepared for what God had in store for me, but I did exactly what He asked me to do. It made me realize that maybe it wasn't a good idea at the moment when I first designed these boxes, but there's a market for whatever your gift is. Someone is looking for what you have to offer. That was just the confirmation that I got for myself. Because again, as an esthetician, you might want to sell skincare. But for the things that I do, which is all about the image, the outside, I also wanted people to feel good on the inside on a day-to-day basis. Even if I struggle day-to-day at making myself feel good, I love to make other people feel good. I love to see other people happy. I love to see other people smiling. It's like therapy for me, from being an esthetician and doing facials. That becomes relaxing, not just for the person, but relaxing for me as well when it comes down to photography and people being happy with the images that they see of themselves. That makes me feel good. So when I designed these affirmation boxes, It was all about how can I help other people feel good about themselves, tap into themselves, and remind themselves of exactly who they are. This podcast is about me sharing my testimony, about other people, women, men, sharing their testimonies as well to make other people feel okay, to make them feel like they're not the only ones out here going through these things, to let them know that there is light on the other side of the storm. There's a rainbow at the end of every storm. So, in closing, just know that your gift is waiting on you. So, here's the truth: your gift doesn't need to be perfect to be powerful, it just needs you to show up. You don't need more time, you don't need more validation, or even more preparation. You just need to move. Matter of fact, you just need to be like Nike and just do it. So this week, I want you to pick one thing you've been sitting on: an idea, a gift, a project, and take one step. Just one. Write it down, send the email, make the phone call, share the idea, put action to your anointing. And as a recap to those affirmations, remember, my gift deserves to be used, not shelved. Even when motivation fades, my purpose is still waiting for me to return to it. And when I honor the gifts placed in me, doors begin to open. If this episode touched something in you, share it with someone else who needs that push. And don't forget, you can DM me or tag me. Let me know what's the one gift you're dusting off this week. Just remember, I'm just getting started and it's only going to get better. And if you haven't already, subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected because this is just the beginning. So until next time, peace and one love. Take care.